All right, good morning, you guys. So we've been talking about decimals, and I know you guys haven't learned very much about decimals last year because of the year being cut short and going to virtual learning, but we're going to just continue going with decimals, and the more I think we talk about it, the better you guys will get at understanding them. So we're going to talk about decimals and powers of 10, but I want to review before. For the next 2 days, we're going to review before we start with the decimals. So let's just look at multiplying whole numbers, because you've had more experience with whole numbers than you have decimals by power of 10. Okay, so we've already talked about what powers of 10 are. Now we're going to use them a little bit. And we talked a little bit about multiplying, but not in the sense that we're going to talk about today. But today's the 14th. So make sure every day you guys are putting a title on top of your page and the date, because it will make it easier for you to go back and look in your notes for things. Or if you're looking for something, I can tell you, okay, look back in your notebook on September 4th and look at your notes. Okay, so make sure title and date. All right, so this is a review. We're going to review what it means, what power of 10, what are we talking about here? So you can write powers of 10 like this. So you have a 10. So I'm going to write 10 to the third power. Well, this 10, and you guys will get into exponents and stuff like that next year. This is just kind of like an introductory to it. This is your base number. I'm going to put the number sign. So that is your base number, whatever this number is. It could be a 4, it could be a 10, it could be a 3, it could be a 11, whatever it is. Our base number is going to be 10 because we're talking about the powers of 10. This little number up here on the top is called your exponent. Okay? Your exponent is a clue that tells you how many times to multiply the base. So we're going to put that in there. Tells you how many times to multiply the base. Okay, that doesn't mean you're multiplying the base by the exponent. You're not doing 10 times 3. This 3, the exponent, tells you how many times to multiply it. So for example, if you had that 10 to the third power, just like up there, that means you're going to multiply 10 times 10 times 10. So 3 times. 10 times 10 times 10. It doesn't mean 10 times 3. It means to multiply 10 3 times. And no, that does not equal 30 either, because you have to multiply one step at a time. So 10 times 10 is what? 100. 100 times 10 is 1,000. Okay. When you're doing powers of 10 and it has the exponent there, another clue that will help you check your work is it tells you how many zeros you're going to have. So you have 1 and 3 zeros. So that's just a little trick. It doesn't work with all the numbers. Like if your base was 3 to the third power, that doesn't mean to add 3 zeros. But because it's a 10, you can just add 3 zeros. But this 10 to the third power means you're multiplying it 10 times. 10 times 10. So you're multiplying it 3 times. So let's try another one for an example. So if you had 10 to the fifth power, how many times would you multiply 10? 5 times. So 10 times 10 times 10 times 10 times 10. Okay, so you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tens. So what does 10 to the 5th power actually equal? Because this would be a long way to write this number out. Or even this one right here, 10 with a little 3 by it is easier to write than 10 times 10 times 10, or even 1,000. So this would be 10 times 10 is 100, 100 times 10 is 1,000, 1,000 times 10 is 10,000, 10,000 times 10 is 100,000. Or it's 1 with 5 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, comma. Separate our periods. Okay, so this we talked about with powers of 10. It's another way to write them. So instead of writing 1,000, we can write 10 to the power of 3. Instead of writing 100,000, we can write 10 to the power of 5. Okay, we also talked about place value and how it is made up of tens. Okay, so we have thousandths, hundredths, tenths. Then you have your decimal, ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, and so on. You keep going. So if I had 5 and 55 hundredths, think of it like money. Anytime you see decimals, unless it goes into the thousands, it gets a little bit trickier. But if it's just in the tens and the hundreds, remember, hundredths are like pennies. Tenths are like dimes. Your ones are like your $1 bills. So every place value, if I took my 5 hundredths, my 5 pennies, and times it by 10, it would give me my dimes. If I took my dimes and times them by 10, it would give me my ones. So every place value, as you're getting larger, going to the left, your number and value is changing and getting larger also. So as the numbers, I should say not numbers, I guess as the digits move to the left, the value of that digit's getting larger. Okay. All right, so this is what we have learned so far about powers of 10 when it comes to multiplying. So we know that this is the base, this is the exponent, that if we have 10 to the power of whatever the exponent is, that means how many times we're going to multiply it. And then it also means a trick that we can put a 1 and 3 zeros. That means the same thing. We also know that our place value system is built on groups of 10. And every time we move a digit to the left and it becomes larger, it also becomes 10 times more. Okay, so get that review down in your notebook, and then we're going to move on to the lesson for today.